My name's Jonas. I'm living in my family's dwelling with my father, mother, and younger sister, called Lily. In my community, there are rules that we should follow. For example, we can't lie, and can't touch each other, and can't come out of the dwelling late at night. This year, I was 12 years old, and in December, I was looking forward to the upcoming ceremony of 12 soon because there will be a ceremony of presenting one's duties. But on the other hand, I had mixed feelings about the ceremony. So at dinner time, that expresses one's feelings. I couldn't speak my feelings perfectly in my turn. In my father's turn, he said,
I felt worried because I had a concern that one of the new children wasn't doing well.
My father's duty is nurturer. He said he saw the baby's name in secret, and his name was Gabriel. One day, he brings Gabriel to our dwelling. Lily asked,
What gender is it?
It's a boy. He will be sleeping in Jonah's room.
Oh, look! Isn't he cute? And he has funny eyes like yours, Jonas.
I didn't feel very good when I heard that, but I looked at his eyes. Almost every citizen in the community had dark eyes, but he had pale and lighter eyes, like me. It was finally the day of the ceremony of 12. My turn was 19. I was expecting to be called my name.
15, 16, 17, and 18 Asher.
Asher has been my friend since I was young. He was called before me, and he was awarded for director duty. Finally, now was my turn. But
20 Fiona.
I was confused why she didn't call my name. Did she forget to call my turn?
I know that you are all concerned, that you feel I have made a mistake. I apologize to my community. Jonas, please come to the stage. Jonas has not been assigned. He has been selected. You are receiver. I'm sure that you are as brave as you can do this role.
My heart was filled with gratitude and pride, but at the same time was filled with fear. I didn't know what his role meant. We came back to the dwelling. Mother talked about the receiver.
Previously, there was a girl who had been selected as Jonas.
What was her name?
We are never to speak the name or to use it again for a new child.
I was shocked. It indicated the highest degree of disgrace. What happened to her?
We don't know. We never saw her again.
I had been given a printed sheet, written a guideline about the receiver, and I began to read the page of instructions. Go immediately at the end of school hours to the house of old. From this time, you are exempted from rules governing rudeness. Do not discuss your training with any other member of the community. And you may lie. I went to the house of old after school as written in the instruction. There was an old man. The old man told me to call him the giver because I was the next receiver. The receiver's mission was to get the memory across and talk about how it feels. He touched my body and he said,
I am going to transmit the memory of snow.
When I opened my eyes, I was sitting on a thing called a sled, and the sled itself seemed to be poised at the top. Hill. Then the sled began to move through the snowfall. The speed, the clear cold air, the feeling of excitement and peace overwhelmed me. And something warm, it made me not open my eyes properly. It called, sunlight. It was so warm and cozy. After that, I went through a few joyful training sessions in the giver's room. When I met with my friends Asher and Fiona, suddenly I came up with the idea that I should transmit the memory that I got. So I started to touch their hands, breaking the rule that they shouldn't make physical contact with each other except for family. But they seemed to never feel the memory. But I looked at not their confused look, but Fiona's hair color changing red. When I was in training in the giver's house as usual, It was time to take the feeling of grief. The giver transmitted me the memory of elephants being poached.
Shoot! Go for ivory!
The elephant was shooted by the hunter. Its leg was soaked with red. I knew abruptly the red liquid was blood. No way! I screamed, but I couldn't do anything. A deep feeling of grief and despair overwhelmed him, and I learned the different meanings of the red color. In addition to the poaching memory, I received memories of pain, like broken legs and hunger. But I suddenly wondered, why are we going through this terrible training?
Because we should get wisdom through the past memory.
But I didn't understand well, and it was not fair. When I came back to the dwelling, I entered my room, and I heard my father said,
I have nurtured the twins, but I have to release one of the two, because she is smaller than the other one.
In the deep night, Gabriel awoke and cried. I approached him and patted his stomach gently, and I consciously transmitted the joyful memory of riding a sled on the hill. He stopped to cry and smiled at me. One day, I entered the giver's room to have a training time, but I could see the giver fall down.
Please, take some of the pain, please.
I stretched his desperate hand and gasped. The memory was of war. I heard someone scream, and I saw the motionless people lying on the ground. Maybe it was death. People were killing people. I was so confused, so I ran out of the giver's room, leaving his voice sound. After that, I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to know wisdom. Next day, I wanted to share this confusing feeling with my family. So at the dinner time that expresses one's feelings, I asked if I would quit my job. But she said,
It's not the proper word, Jonas. It's not a job but a role. And you must keep going.
I suddenly remembered the memory of family and love while training, so I just asked, do you love me?
It's not the proper word, Jonas.
But I thought that I loved Gabriel so much. I went back to the giver's room. He asked for forgiveness. I understood and sympathized with his pain. I forgave him, and I asked the giver, Giver, do you ever think about release? I haven't seen how the release is going on. He calmed for a moment.
Sit back up. I will show how the release is going on.
He turned on a projector on the desk and played some video. That's my father. I watched the nurture center where my father had been doing volunteer work. He gently put the new child on the blankets, and to my surprise, my father began carefully to direct the needle into the top of new child's forehead.
I know it hurts, little guy.
As I continued to watch, the Noochid was no longer crying and stopped moving his arms and legs. I have seen this in the memory of war. It was death. He killed it. My father killed it. And he picked up the box and put the new child in the box. He carried it to the other room. It seemed like what trash was deposited. I won't go home, I shouted.
Listen to me, Jonas. He knows nothing else. Also, the members' community knows nothing.
I was really shocked that my friend Fiona, who has been working in Nurture Center, will do the same thing. We will make a plan.
What plan? There's nothing we can do. People will feel like sorrow, grief, and
love, I just added. He was silent for a while. Then he handed out the map. In the map, it indicated where the community is, and at the end, there were some boundary lines.
If you cross the boundary, all memories will return to the people. They'll be thrown into chaos. So I have to stay here and care of the rest of them. There was a receiver before you. Her name was Rosemary, and she was released by putting the needle on her own. She was my daughter. I wanted to go where she is if my duty is finished.
When I came back to the dwelling, and I planned to pack my bag with food and clothes, but I heard Father's voice.
Gabriel will be released. He had been sleeping so soundly at the nurturing center.
When will he be released?
Tomorrow morning.
After I heard that, I decided to flee with Gabriel tonight. I robbed the community's food and packed my bag with them. I left with Gabriel at midnight. I pressed the pedal quickly before someone found me. We came out of the community. We hid behind the bush when the airplanes that I saw in the memory of war filed in the sky looking for us. While the airplanes passed away, we could move on. The landscape was changing. I stepped on the snow ground and I remembered the memory of snow. When I kept going on, a hill appeared suddenly. I remembered that I was joyful while falling down riding a sled. I found a wood barrel and made it into the sled. I got on the sled and held Gabriel tightly and began to slowly go down. The cold air and the wind on my face made the memory vivid. It went down faster and faster. By the time I arrived at the flat ground, it went down slowly. I gently opened my closed eyes. When I opened my eyes completely, surprisingly, I saw some light. A warm, bright light.